I don't think you have to go through either one of those experiences. I think, for example, I think I was forced to do it because it was part of my path and I had been resisting my path. So I think a good actionable takeaway is to get really clear on your purpose and follow that path, because it's so much more enjoyable when you choose your own challenges rather than the universe choosing them for you. Because I unfortunately ignored my path for a long time and the universe was choosing my challenges, and I struggled and I struggled and I still hated myself. Whereas when I started choosing my own challenges, like when I started doing the inner work on myself and learned how to love myself and like what that whole process was, because it is a whole process. And even though that was still a difficult process to go through my healing journey, it was so much more enjoyable than the lessons that the universe was handing to me.
Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, it's not good enough? Like perfect is the only standard, but you're still left feeling behind? Perfectionism keeps us stuck. It robs us of peace, of our joy, and the freedom to just be. That's why I created Beauty of Imperfection, Good is Enough, a guided workbook to help you let go of the pressure, quiet your inner critic, and start celebrating progress over perfection. Inside, you'll find tools that remind you your worth has never depended on being perfect. It's time to embrace the beauty of imperfection, because good really is enough. Let me remind you, you are always worthy. You already are. Get your copy of my workbook today. Emotionally unavailable. Okay, so we had decided that we were going to talk about. Okay, I was making sure I had my echo cancellation on. I'm hating my new headphones a lot, and I hate the old ones, so I'm going headphone-less. So, okay, I wondered if you were okay with starting here. We have heard a bunch of people talk about the dark night of the soul, I'm sure, or at least call it that. I
Yeah.
do think it's a little bit of a personalization involved in terms of how you define your dark night.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a little bit separate from the spiritual awakening in that the dark night was for me how I define mine. That's why I'm about to ask you, but I got to talk too much. I really define my dark night as that period of like, it was after the decision to not die and like, okay, if I'm gonna live, how? And just the overwhelming, like I just remember wailing all the time, just crying so much all the time
Mm.
because I wanted to do things differently and just didn't know how, and I didn't have any answers and whatever. My spiritual awakening really was more positive because I'd just get this paradigm shift all of a sudden, and I'd be like, everything that I got download wise was so empowering as opposed to this fucking empty, hopeless feeling, right? So,
Yes.
that's how I define both of those periods. I mean, in the spiritual, I still get those spiritual awakenings, like, on a new level, you know what I mean? But, like, the dark night
Yeah.
for me was so fucking hopeless, like, and empty and just like, "What do we do? I don't know. I don't know. I can't live like this anymore, though." So, how would you define if you were to just give it a little thing, how would you say your dark night was?
That's so interesting because I feel like my definition is different and I don't even know how to concisely
Then
summarize it.
don't be concise. Just say it, man. Because that I think that it's
Well,
it's good to hear people talk about their shit because I've never heard anyone say this is what I define my dark night as, and I'm curious how it
yeah.
differs.
Well, and I think you like to your point, it's like personalized because everyone's so different. But like for me, because I almost died, I was basically in a coma for a day and a half. Like, because I was in my shower, I had no recollection of that at all. I was totally blacked out, and then I was in the hospital. But anyway, I never had, because when you hear stories of people almost dying, they're like, oh, I saw the light or I met Jesus and all of these things. I didn't have that at all because I was totally blacked out. So I had no recollection of anything that happened. But I mean, I had to be on the brink of death to be like unconscious, unattended for that long. And the reason why I believe that is because after I was released from the hospital, I didn't sleep for like a week. And
Wow.
in these periods at night, like, I felt like I was dreaming, but I don't really think it was dreaming. I think like, the veil was basically non-existent. Like, I was hearing voices, I was seeing things. I was even I think it's called remote viewing because it's like I would
Yeah.
be in these situations with people that I knew and I could hear their voice, I could see them, but I'm, like, in my bedroom. And it was, like, so wild, because, like,
Wow.
there was, like, no veil. But for me, that's when I started just kind of, like, questioning everything. Because when you see the other side and it's totally different because I think, on the other side of the veil, it's just everybody's soul, which is truly who they are. But on this side, people have addictions, we have mental health
Right.
issues, there's all this, like, stuff, and for me, and mine lasted, like, 2 years, but, like, to your point, I was crying all of the time. I was just questioning everything, like, "What are we doing here?" Because again, I think I had, like, seen the other side, and it's like, it's so much different because it's just everybody's souls existing in harmony, yet on this side, everyone hates each other, everyone's angry, and I was just like, "What are we doing? Why are we living this way?" And I just would question everything, and I was so basically jaded by the human existence, and it
Yeah.
was, like, depressing, and yeah, I cried all the time, and for, like, 2 years, I didn't socialize, I wasn't hanging out with my friends because I just couldn't stand people, and I know that sounds
No, I
weird, but it's like
understand that.
everything just felt so fake, and, like, society was just so jading to me that I was just like, I don't know, it was such a weird time, and I actually, like, took a lot of notes because I couldn't even remember a lot of, like, what I was experiencing, and even in my notes, I'm like, I it's so hard to describe
Well,
the
it sounds like
feeling
in
of just,
some
like
sense, I'm gonna use this word, but I don't really mean it, but in some sense, you're kinda dissociating, like, because you were tapping into this different realm that wasn't present in
Yeah,
here. You were very connected to the other side still and not grounded and rooted here, is one way to look at it, but I'm really glad that we're talking about
yeah.
this because the things that you're saying, it's let me first ask this. Are you are you saying that's how you view your spiritual awakening? Was that you had gotten this spiritual thing when you were in your room and whatever, and then you started to actually like I'm not wording this right. You were
See,
very
and it's hard to
connected to the other
explain.
side. Like even here, like you okay,
Yes.
'cause that's not how I define my spiritual awakening
Interesting.
at all. And
Yeah.
in fact, I have to work I have to like be intentional to be that connected to the other side. And I don't think it's ever been to the level that you have. And I will tell
Oh.
you this. Why I feel like this conversation is very intentional because my 18-year-old went through a thing where he had done a lot of mushrooms and a lot of acid. And this this was in a rough period of our lives. You know, you can all y'all when I'm talking about going through something rough with him, that's the type of shit I'm talking about. Okay, I was going through my own shit, watching my baby suffer. Anyway, so he had this whole spiritual experience, and he didn't open up a lot at all. But as a stipulation for something he received a lot of trouble for, we were in family therapy together for a little bit, and he was really open with us, the therapist and me. I mean, he is an open person, but I didn't know which questions to ask and whatever. And he was talking about like, you know that depressing feeling where it's like, "What's the fucking point?" Right? He's like, "Mom,
Yes.
I know that you're spiritual, but I'm talking about spiritual in a totally different way than you're talking about." And I said, "Then tell me. What do you mean?" And he's like, "I'm talking about like astral projection and whatever." And he's like, "But the thing is the shit I've seen is very dark." And so I was like, "Okay, and honey, some of that is just your perception of the reality. So, like, that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
all of this is meaningless or that all of that is dark. Like, you get to determine how much any of that is your truth. So anyway, I never understood what he was saying. I mean, truly, not on this core level, and I feel like I do now because you're saying what your experience was, and I feel like now that's what he was saying is that he's had those
I
moments
think
on the
so.
other side, and the shit he saw wasn't all love and light, but I think that's because he was on fucking acid.
Yeah. Well, and I think because when there is no veil, it's hard to distinguish between there and here.
Yes.
And it's like you really, and on this side, you really do see people's dark sides and what's really going on. But again, that's not who their soul is. So I
Yeah.
think, and maybe that's more like my lived experience because if I was only
Right. If
18,
you were
I
18
don't
and had
know.
that. Yeah.
So I actually can see his point of view, whereas like being older and going through my own stuff and seeing other people go through stuff, I have more of a compassionate viewpoint when looking at other
See, and
people,
he
even though I
doesn't. He
can
doesn't
see the
at all.
darkness. Yeah.
And that's I'm so fucking thankful that he is so open to my feedback because with
Right.
limited understanding of what he's talking about, I can just talk about what I know. And I said, honey, what I know, I don't know all the things you're saying, but what I do know is if you're spending this much time in judgment of other people around you, you are not where you need to be with you. Like you don't love yourself,
Yes.
like yourself, appreciate yourself. That's where you need to work. And I even sent him like the workbooks I've created. He looks at them like I'm like, okay, that's all I can ask for from an 18-year-old. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
okay, great. But like I feel like I understand this part of him that he's been trying to explain. It's making me emotional, which I'm not gonna, like apologize for crying, but I
No, do
you
not.
know,
But
a lot.
also, I think it's I think it's such a testament to your parenting though, because I'm just looking at it from the point of view it wasn't safe for me to tell my parents things because they didn't even try to understand me. I was criticized. So it's like I wouldn't even have those conversations with my parents. So the fact that feels safe enough to speak up to you,
Yeah.
I think was a reflection of you.
Thank
So I think that's
you.
amazing.
Thank you. Well, I told him, baby, you better be glad all this happened after my spiritual awakening because I would have been critical because I would have been so fucking afraid, but I really lean into my faith
Yeah.
in our purpose. My purpose, his, I believe he chose me and I'm going to be his goddamn guide. You know what I mean? Like, he fucking hates when I talk astrology. He's like, I believe in it, but it's annoying the way you talk about it. He's so judgmental about me too. And so I'm like, I don't
Oh,
talk about it, but the therapist
because
was into it too.
yeah, he,
And so she's like, well, as much as you don't want to hear this, us Pisces asses, like shit, like I loved his therapist so much. I was like, "Are you my therapist too?" Because I'm feeling feeling a little love here. But I do. I just try. I'm sorry if you hear my little dog over here.
yeah,
Bella,
I
I
do.
offered to
It's
hold you.
okay.
You didn't want me to pick you up, so I really don't know what else I can do for you, sis. Do you want me to hold you? You just want to whine. Okay. Um, I do view myself. Okay, we're gonna put her out. I do view myself more as a shaman, honestly. Like I'm just here to guide you, baby. Come here, love. You go be barky with your friends, okay? Shit. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, so wow, that I'm so fucking glad this is the conversation we're having because I feel like also what I'm feeling this huge pull for is to get deeper understandings of the type of shit you're talking about for myself. Cause I feel like I'm just now, maybe I'm just now feeling safe enough to venture into things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and I also love how because I would love to, like, Google this and see what the definition, is, but I think every single person who goes through something like this probably has a different definition of what it
I would love
means.
to know that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cause I feel like, when I talk about my spiritual awakening, I think it was the first time I was very clear that it was my higher self talking to me. That
Yeah, I
I
agree
felt
with that.
tethered to that finally and the deepening of that understanding, but I felt very in touch with that. And I mean, I was able to do that more when I was using medical marijuana on the daily basis, but, like, um, yeah, I think it just kept being like, "No, girl, what are you know what I mean?" Like, the first
Yeah.
thing I told you, was about, like, "You're already all those things. What are you fucking talking about? Like, you're already all these things you're working so hard to become. What are you talking about? You need to unbecome a couple of things, but, like, you're already so great." That didn't come from nowhere, you know? And then
Right.
when I started to lean into this belief system, then I could look back, and I truly do fully fucking believe all those times at 4 years old when I'm being told what my purpose is, in 8th grade when I'm having a total fucking vision of being a public speaker, like your parents are gonna die and this and this and this, and then you're gonna help people with your story. Like, I had a vision. That was me, man. That was my higher self. Like,
Yeah.
I am so firm in that belief. But that's what I have really gotten in touch with. I want to be more in touch with the other parts of spirituality. I really do. Like, shit, being able to what's the word that you used again where you were able the monitoring thing?
Oh, remote
Yeah, I
viewing.
want to be able to do shit like that. And I want to be able to
Oh,
like
really? I didn't like
you
that.
didn't?
It was creepy because it's like, am I dreaming? Am I
Well,
here?
and
It
probably
was
because you didn't have
weird.
any control over it. It was just happening and you were like,
Yeah.
"The fuck?" So do you think
Yeah.
then that, like, okay, you know how we were talking about how some people have those near death experiences and they all of a sudden, like, well, some of them have, like, a new sense, like a sixth sense. Well,
Yes.
some of them talk about, like, feeling closer to Jesus and whatever. But, like, do you think you, in essence, got, like, a new sixth sense? Like, you just had more awareness and
My
consciousness?
my intuition totally increased, like, overnight, and then I also intentionally worked on it because, again, it's like, when it's just kind of, like, handed to you all at once like that, it's scary because I could s like, I remember there were times when I did start sleeping again, I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I knew a spirit was in my home, I just knew it, I couldn't see it, and it's scary because it's like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And, so I did learn to intentionally develop it more so it's not as scary, but it still can be scary,
Yes.
like,
Yeah, because listen, I'm as
'cause
woo-woo as you get, and I still sleep with a light on. If like, I
yeah,
come to bed before my husband, and every night, everyone in my house knows, don't shut my bedroom because a lot of people wander in to use my bathroom all the fucking time, no matter if I'm asleep or not. Thanks, family. Anyway, so, they always know, "Don't shut the bathroom door because I leave the light on in there and have the light off in my bathroom or bedroom. I don't like to even talk about that much because I don't want anyone using shit against me in the other world, but, like, I can hear them. You know what I mean? Like, the feeling
see,
is
I
that
know.
intense to where I can actually hear them, or that's when I start to feel the fucking different, like, levels of pressure on my bed. I will like, shit like that. I fucking hate that, and I'm as woo-woo as
Me
I get, and
too.
I'm trying to communicate with spirits, and I don't want that shit. Don't put me in bed.
That's so funny that you say that because when I was little, my family had a Great Dane, and then after he died, we had another dog and a cat, and the cat would always sleep on my bed, and so I get the sensation on my sheets. It's either a huge presence, which the Scooby was his name. The Great Dane never slept on my bed, but it feels as though there's a very large dog sleeping on my bed. So I know it's him. Or I can literally feel, like if I'm under the covers, sometimes I can literally feel a cat walking on top of my covers. And even though I know it's Scooby and Stripes, the cat, it's still
I don't
scary
like
because
it.
it's like, "Holy shit, I can feel
Yes, the
this, and
very
I'm
first time
awake."
was right after we had lost a dog. Our dog got hit by a car, and we did not know that she was even out of the house because, I don't even
Yeah.
remember all the details, but I know
Oh,
she didn't
yeah.
I didn't know she was out of the house and dead down the street when this happened, and I went to sleep, and as I was laying there, that was the very first time I felt that sensation of, like, it felt like her on my bed. I turned to look 'cause I didn't know she wasn't in there, and, oh, great, now I don't get any sleep, whatever, because that freaked me the fuck out. I turn on all the lights and whatever, and then the times that I have felt it
after that, I'm like, maybe it's just Savannah visiting, maybe it's just Savannah, but I don't like it. Savannah, I love you, but
It's still
visit differently,
scary.
please. I don't like that.
The first time my dad visited me, and this was actually the first, my dad died before my dark night of the soul and everything. So this was especially terrifying. But my dad was a smoker. And this is when I was living in Chicago. I was working from home, just, plugging along. And all of a sudden, I smelled cigarette smoke. And it was so strong, I thought someone, because I was living in a condo, we had like indoor hallways. I was like, someone is smoking in the hallway. That's how strong it was. And I was the treasurer on my condo board. And I'm like, we cannot afford to fumigate the hallways. I need to go tell this person to stop smoking in the hallway. So I like threw my door open, like ready to talk to this person. And there was no one in the hallway. So I like go around the corner where the elevator bank is, thinking like, okay, they're waiting for the elevator. And there was no one there. And I was like, man, this is so weird. Like, I know someone was smoking out here. And I went back to my kitchen and I like sniffed really hard to see if I could smell it again. And I couldn't smell anything. And that's when it hit me, because you know how there's a difference between the smell of someone actively smoking a cigarette and like the smell of someone who just finished a
Mhm.
cigarette? And even then, like, all smokers have their own scent
Yes.
because it's like the cigarette mixed with whatever their fragrance is. And I was like, holy fucking shit, that was my dad. Like, I recognized it as
Mhm.
his scent. And I was so terrified. Now I'm better with him visiting, but it is, yeah, even when you believe in the stuff and you know who the person is or whatever, it is still very scary.
My dad did things like, and this didn't last long, but there was a short period, and I think it's because he knew like I needed it so badly. I was struggling so bad after he died.
Yeah.
Um, I would with the house I grew up in, the laundry was in the garage, and I would be out there like grabbing shit, and hangers would start flying off the wall. And I was like, "Dad, really cute. Appreciate the communication. A little less would be okay, you know?" And then I remember after my mom died, because I didn't get like visitations from my, because then he just stuck to dreams after that, because I was like, just dreams are fine. Dreams are fine, Dad. That's okay. And I had some crazy ass visitation dreams with him, like really,
See?
really good
Yeah.
ones. But right before my mom died, one of the gifts of that last couple years and her being in prison and getting to like really bond was talking about all of it. And my paternal grandma had just died right before my mom died. And so it was causing us to have this afterlife discussion and whatever. And I was like, "Well, if you die before me, will you please visit me? I want you to." And I even said like, "Will you please find dad and like, have him visit me?" And one of the very first dreams I had of her was, it was just cloudy, like, it was foggy, whatever, it wasn't like, we weren't, like, in a room or anything, they just appeared, and she showed up, and then no one talked, but it was just the face of, like, "Look who I got," and then he was
Uh,
smiling, and he was like, "Look who's here." That was it, and then I woke up. Like, that was one of the first visitations I got, but I had a couple of different object moving situations after she died too, and I was like, guys, listen, I don't like that. I just don't, and I don't want you to do that anymore. Just don't, please. Even now when I'm like, spirit guides, I'm learning to try to communicate with you. And I've learned that this feeling is like pressure in my head and very kind of fuzzy. Like that's the only way I can really describe it. That's when
uh,
I'm like, okay, they're saying something. Can't figure it out. Haven't figured out what the fuck they're saying yet. But I I got this feeling when I had a medium on my show one day. And I've never felt
mm,
this full body experience like I did when she was talking to me. And I was even saying, like, oh my God, like, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, "No, it's not a bad thing. It's just different. I've never felt this before." So one day I was sitting in my room and I was like, "Okay, guys, let's do a practice." Like I don't know what I'm doing, right? And so I was like, "Was that feeling you?" And then I got the,
mm,
and I was like, "Okay, yes." And so then I started playing with it. I'm like, "Will you be louder?" And it was like stronger, shit like that. I can handle that. I would
mm.
like to know what the fuck they're trying to say. I can't figure it out because I'm
Yeah.
overthinking everything.
Interpretation is really
I know
hard.
those people who just come so naturally at it. I'm like, oh, what? How do you not ever think? But you
Well,
ever
one thing I've learned is because I have a critical inner voice and then I have my intuition. So, what I've learned is your intuition or your spirit guides trying to communicate to you, they're always loving and compassionate. So, even if you ask a question and the answer is no, like your higher self or your spirit guides, they would never be like, of course not, you idiot, or like, you know what I
so
mean?
true.
like,
That's such a good
like
point.
that's they would be like, no, this isn't the right time. Like, no, we have something better lined up for you. So, what's helped me discern is, your intuition and your spirit guides are loving and compassionate, and your ego and your critical inner voice are usually like negative and bitchy.
So true. That's a really good point. I'm wondering though, how you went from, I know you touched on this for a second, but how you went from in this world kind of hating being around people, which I can fully relate um, to being like more of a convergence of like that, the anchored part of you where you've got your
Yeah.
feet and you're rooted in your humanity, but you're also tethered to your highest self. Like how did that, what practices did you do to come to that?
It was very gradual. I will say by chance, a few months after my attempt, I was invited to be part of this intuition group. And I'm still part of this group. We meet every month. I think that helped a lot because it removed a lot of the fear around these visits and being able to connect to the other
Mm-hmm.
side. Um, but still, like that, like what I call my dark night of the soul, it lasted like 2 years. And that's a long
That is a
time
long
to be
time.
crying every day, to be like having this existential crisis, to not be socializing.
Yeah.
Although part of it was like on the tail end of like the COVID restrictions. So
Yeah.
there was a portion of it where there really wasn't much socializing to be done. But then even when things started opening up, I was just like, I can't stand being around other people. And I think it just got to the point where I emotionally started to feel better because I wasn't crying every day, or if I was, it wasn't just like that, like the existential crisis
Yeah, I
feeling.
know all about the
So,
crying. Yes, I
yeah.
do. It was
So,
loud.
yeah. And then I don't know. So then I was just kind of was like, okay, I'm ready to be around people. But even now, I was gonna say even then, but even now, I'm not as social as I used to
Neither am
be.
I.
Like I really crave being alone, and
Me too. I
it's
have a
different.
hard time because I feel the way I did when I was 15 and my dad died. It was like, you guys just don't fucking get it, man. Like, you just don't fucking
Yeah.
get it. There's so much more than this. And you're just sitting over here talking shit and complaining nonstop instead of like integrating anything that you've ever learned about why we're here. Like, it's fucking annoying. It's fucking annoying to me to be in a room with people who are talking nothing but superficial shit. If I could have this kind of conversation for 10 hours a day, that would be the happiest for me. Like, this is what brings me
Same.
joy, is this, or teaching this shit to my kids. You know what I mean? Like, or imparting some ounce of knowledge on them. Like, oh, you're having a problem? Blah, blah, blah. The other shit is so mundane to me. It's awful. But I
Yeah.
was wondering
Especially
if you would characterize a little bit of how you've kind of adapted, maybe is a good word. Do you think it got easier the more, because it sounds to me like you kind of decreed some things. Like you were like, I'm going to fucking decide what this shit is, and you decided for yourself a lot of things, I think. And I wonder if cultivating like that self-love and self-compassion is what really helped.
oh, for sure. Because when you love and respect yourself and have compassion for yourself, you look at other people through that
Mhm.
lens. Because, like, for example, something that frustrates me with society is how wrapped up and angry people get about politics. And I understand why they're frustrated and why they're angry, but it's like there's very little you can do to change the situation. Like, you can't change who's in office.
Right.
You can't change, certain things. So, and I'm not saying bury your head in the sand and ignore the things that are going on, but there are things you can do. Like, for instance, I was having a conversation with someone and he was like all upset about Palestine. And I'm like, understand that. But at the very least, like, you can energetically send them love because, like, and I know you would get this because there's so much energetically around so many topics. There's all this like fear propaganda and anger and stuff, and you can counteract that with your energy. So even if you can't physically do something, like, you can energetically do something. So like, I guess it's just the whole thing of like, people feel like they're helpless and powerless, and it's like you're
Right.
really not.
That's where I
Um
I see the distinction for myself is because I'm actually new to caring so much about some of these issues because I have such a fucking like new heart for humans.
yeah,
But I definitely wouldn't classify it as
empaths have a
politics
hard time with it.
because
Yeah.
politics is like I hate Trump, I don't hate Trump, but like I do hate some of the atrocities that are happening in this world. But actually, I think that where it can get really deep and dark is when you do feel that helpless, hopeless feeling. I then lean back into my spirituality and say like this is happening for a reason and other things will unfold and the thing that I can do is care for myself and when I get too deep into this hole, I'm not caring for myself and I cannot even help myself, my family, my community, or the Palestinians if I'm over here in a fucking deep dark hole because I've started to feel helpless and hopeless. So I think it's okay to care a lot, be an activist, be whatever, but understand what your role actually is in the collective suffering.
Yes, the way you just described that is beautiful, amazing, and exactly what I was trying to say, but I think you said it in a much better way because I get it, empaths, we feel things,
Yes.
but when you get wrapped up in what's actually going on, you're just contributing to the situation.
Yes. Yeah, when you're and this is where it's hard for me too. I see these people and I feel really certain in my identity until sometimes I watch people on social media and then I'm like, is that how I'm supposed to be? Like, it'll make me kinda question myself a little bit,
No.
and then I have to back up
Yeah.
and be like, "I'm so fucking certain of who I am and how I show up." Sometimes I'll even pull out human design and be like, "But see, they are a fucking projector and you're a generator, so, like, that's just their path, honey, like, they're on their own journey and you're on your journey." And so for me, I won't let people inwardly bully me about my level of or lack of voice that I've given to certain issues. I care fucking deeply about what's happening in Gaza. I'm not going to say it's right at all. I care deeply that there's a fucking war against women in this country. And I care so much about making sure I'm okay. And I cannot be who I need to be in this world if I'm not okay. And so I have to come home and I have to say, what's the capacity that you have? And I don't think that spending your time in this super angry energy is what's going to serve anyone best. There's a place for it, there's a moment for it. But then you have to come home and you have to be safe and you have to rest and regenerate and rejuvenate. Like I do that all the time. But I think that's why I'm so fucking isolated because I'm like, oh God, that interaction was fucking taxing. I was taxing.
But that was, again, that was so beautifully said because you can speak up, you can speak your opinions, you can speak how you feel. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the energetic alignment that you're putting out with it.
Yeah.
Because I think, because I just get disgruntled because so many people are just contributing to the fear propaganda
Yeah.
and the anger.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know you're against it, but
Well,
like,
because what
we
I'm
just need some
hearing
good energy.
is Armageddon's coming. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I thought we all
This
collectively
is
agreed that we don't really believe in revelation. You know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at is like, listen, you know what I know? this minute right here in front of me, and that's where I'm gonna live, is right here. Right now, I'm fine, my family's fine, like, that's where I have to live, and I will say that probably comes from a place of privilege, and it is what it is. Because again, I cannot even advocate if I get myself in a deep, dark hole. Like, I have to,
Yes.
my 22-year-old is a fucking passionate ass person who cares deeply about these issues, but it scares him. It triggers all of that fear of like,
Yeah.
the world's gonna end. And I'm like, "Well, that's bad, baby. That's what they want you to feel, you know, because 'cause you're not your best you
Exactly.
when you're thinking the world's gonna end. Like, what would be the fucking point in even this conversation if the world's gonna end tomorrow, right? I mean, for me, I would say there's
Right.
a point no matter what, but, for him, he's still figuring all that out. He's 22. What am I gonna do? What is my place in this world? And I'm like, "That's your purpose, is to figure that out and go be this light." But, like, even recently, I was telling him, I was trying to encourage him to do writing, little, like, contract little writing things, and he was
Mhm.
like, "I don't, what am I gonna say that's any different?" I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Oh my god, son, like, you are a fucking light in this world. You've taught me so much about this shit. Like, what are you talking about? You are a voice of your peers. Like, you're a thought leader. What are you talking about?" And he was like, "Oh, I mean, I guess maybe," but I'm like, "No, you are, but you have to be okay in you. You have to be solid in you to, well, first of all, to get over the fear of rejection of putting your shit out there,
Yeah.
but, like, he's been like, I do think I'm gonna start, posting more." But I was like, "No, you should, abso-fucking-lutely, like, you have a purpose, I see it so clearly. Get in line, man, because like, we need you, we fucking need you, we need your energy."
See, and that's another good point. Like when you get caught up in the like fear and anger vibration, it's dimming your own
Exactly
light,
right.
and everyone has their own unique light to share with the world. So it's like, yeah, stop letting these things dim your light. Like, and using your light is actually giving the positive energy to those
Mhm.
situations.
Yeah, the problem is he's not spiritual really like that.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
I do have to lean very heavily into what the design is, what I feel like my blueprint here is, what I feel like my purpose is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really like, I chose this experience, like I have to remember those things to feel safe in this world sometimes. Like I have to kind of,
Yeah.
go ahead and call on that higher self a little bit to feel safe, because the world is scary sometimes. If you really sit, like, I try not to hear any of it, but God, it's everywhere. And so, when I
Yeah.
do, I'm like, "Nah," and then I come home, and I say, "Hey, what we know is you have a purpose here." And that is just as valuable as anything I could do for someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
I
do
know
believe
exactly what you
that
mean.
we do all have our own light, like you said, and we are called to use it in our way. And my light shines the best when it's centered around me. I know I have, like, I need to share my story and in my way and teach people the things I know. That's what I'm doing. I'm also
Yeah.
getting the privilege of learning a lot of new shit from other people, and I love that too. I can see how intentional all of it is, but, like, I gotta take care of me. I really do, because, um, I think that it's like an old and a new principle all in one, that we're supposed to self-sacrifice if we love other people. I think that
Yeah.
there's new ways that people are saying that, you know what I mean?
E
And I'm
exactly,
like,
yeah, and
"I've
it's
already
actually the
learned that
opposite.
lesson, honey."
Yeah.
That's what my grandma said too, and I think she was pretty wrong and you're wrong. And I mean, I get it. People are passionate. They're passionate about what they're saying, but I do think it's all
Yeah,
kind of stemming from a place of fear, and I try to just come from a place of security.
yeah,
I think it's a big
I love that.
difference.
Also, you and I are only a day apart in age. How many times in our lifetime has it been announced that the world is going to end?
These are the
So it's like
end
getting
times, Angie.
so it's getting to the point where it's like, yeah, you could tell me the world's blowing up tomorrow and I would still go surfing. Like
Okay, fuck you for knowing how to surf. I'm so jealous about that. But yes, I try to tell my son, like, "Oh, honey, you just haven't been alive enough to herd like this over and over and over. I was raised by a person who quoted Revelations to me on the daily. Okay. Then I read the Left Behind series. Okay. I sure did
Oh,
because I was real religious then. Yes, I was. And so I'm,
I forgot about
oh,
that.
bitch.
Yeah.
I forgot about it too until it's made a recirculation on TikTok where people are like making fun of
No.
it. Because they're
Oh,
all
good.
like,
Okay,
all these
good.
people are deconstructing from religion. So they're like, do y'all remember how traumatized we were by this series? And I'm
It
like,
was scary.
yes. Oh my
It
God.
was so
What is
scary.
the word?
I
The
bought into those
rapture.
books so
Oh, I
hard.
was so scared.
Yeah,
I was so scared. I was like, but am
me
I going to be
too.
left behind? Am I? I think I
And
might.
remember Kirk Cameron was in the movies or was it a movie or like a TV show
They
or
made a movie
something?
out of it. Yeah. 3 parts, I think, got published as movies, and I watched the first one because I was still obsessed. I did read every last one of the books, and I mean,
I did
I was
too.
fucking scouring that shit. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I was so
And
scared.
so what, like, I'll tell you my story. I'm curious about you. I started going to church again. What did it make you do?
I think I was already going to church still when I
Oh, okay.
read it. But I started a Bible study out of my home. I'm not kidding.
See? So
I
it's
was
like,
scared to death that I was not
I
being
never
good
used
enough
to
to
be a
go to heaven,
conspiracy
man.
theorist.
Because I was like, what if people are wrong? What if the only thing you have to do is not just accept Jesus Christ as your savior? What if that's wrong? I was so scared all the time. Like, actually, a friend of mine and I bonded so hardcore when we first met, and this was a bajillion years ago, about this, what we felt like was a very isolated, but now I know to be a kind of a common occurrence in the 80s, crying in your bed at night, just so afraid as a child that you were gonna go to hell. Like, so
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
afraid. Like, "Are you sure?" I mean, I remember my grandma coming in and being like, "What? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm just crying." She's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I'm afraid I'm gonna go to hell." And she'd be like, "Missy, oh my God. Why are you worrying about that? Did you ask Jesus to come into your heart?" "Yeah." "Okay, then." And I'm like, "But how do you know that's enough?" Fuck. I would much rather the belief system I have now than that because now I'm
Yeah,
really
because
good at
now it's
causing
like, I don't even give a
conspiracies.
shit.
I mean, I can be like, no, that's not true. Mm-mm. And when really bad things are happening in the world, I can be like, well, I have a purpose, and that matters, and then just click it off. I can do that because I've learned how to fucking shut that shit down. It's not always healthy, but I do it because like it's
Um,
better than the am I going to go to hell?
I think there is a healthy version of compartmentalization though, because you could let all this stuff overrun your life, which a lot of people do, and that's how
Yes.
it consumes you.
Yeah, and to your earlier point, I know a couple of people who have really let the world's events change them as people.
Yeah.
And they're very angry people and they're not tapped into love at all.
See, that's what I'm saying, and that's just contributing to the
Well,
stuff.
that's the reason the world is the way it is because of a bunch
I
of people
know.
like
Yeah.
that who are not healed. And I think it's easy for me to look at people and see how they became who they are. I don't have to agree with it. And compassion doesn't mean that I think it's okay or make any excuses for people at all. But like it's really easy to see how much people don't love themselves when they get on a big stage and be fucking stupid, Like
Yeah.
a lot of the
That's
people
actually
that
a
drive
great
me
way to
crazy.
describe it.
Yeah, because that's all it is. We all grew up with these protective factors. As a
Yes.
person who had a fuck ton of narcissistic traits and didn't like finding that out about myself, but I really did. Um I recognize those traits in others and I know how they're developed. And they didn't come from an
Yeah.
easy life. Nobody protects themselves to the level that I did and those people are from an easy existence. I'm not making excuses because healing is our responsibility, but that's why I'm committed to living in this manner and to having these conversations because how else are those people going to hear the truth? Some of them
I
will never,
completely
but a
agree.
lot of people will. It took me I was a hateful person before. I was a person who didn't care about the human experience and watching others suffer. Obviously, I cared, but I was so good at dismissing it because I couldn't hold it. You know, I didn't have the capacity
Mm,
to hold the pain of others. So I just pretended it didn't matter. And in that time in my life, it didn't fucking matter, but I didn't matter either. So all it took was little, messages from my son, hearing him talk over and over. It takes some people hundreds of times to hear something before it resonates. The timing has to be
agree.
right. If we continue, I have to believe, and I do, that if we continue to show people what love is and how to love yourself, these people will change eventually, or they won't, but a lot of people will. And one
I
matters.
agree.
One matters as much as 100. Maybe we only reach one more person in the rest of our lives. But the ripple
But
effect
that's
of
one
that,
person. Yeah.
look in my
No,
little family.
totally
You
agree.
know? The other 4 people in my family are forever fucking changed from me. And they're gonna
Yeah.
put that shit out too. Now that my son is gonna follow my advice and go do this shit, that's change. That's more people.
Yes.
And even if he only got 1, that's how this fucking works. Why is that
Yes.
hopeless? To think you can only change a certain percentage because you don't love yourself and you're still thinking that you have to produce on this grandiose scale to be worthy of love and belonging. Fucking love yourself, man. Your whole life's going to change. It's going to get a lot better if you can just be right here who you are.
Actually, that's like probably the most important point of this conversation. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, even like whenever, I don't know about you, but whenever I see a Karen meltdown on social media or whatever, all I see is just someone who needs a hug. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't really think they're a bad person. It's like they're just struggling with their own issues. And to your point, probably don't love themselves.
I see fear and I see shame. I
Yeah.
think that all hatred of others comes from a place of fear and shame because I try to think, who was I when I voted a certain way and acted a certain way? Like, who was I? I was a really scared person. Anytime somebody would say something, I can visualize the tense feeling and the trigger taking over my
Mm,
body, and then how I would just have to shut that down and go overanalyze and then be mean, and you know what I mean, like tough it up and all the
yeah.
things that I did. That's what we're doing. I'll be honest, kind of depends on the day on in terms of how I view others when they're behaving badly. But I'll let them trigger my ass to a real good extent. And then I stop and I go, I don't want my energy going there. And also why people act like that isn't for any other reason than they got scared of something and they also feel so much shame. Like those two things go
Mm,
hand in hand. And I do believe, like, I don't think Trump will change before he dies, so, like, I'm not trying to reach Trump. I
right.
am trying to reach people who feel so similar to how you did when you were laying in that room in the 2 years following, where you just had no fucking, like, what is the fucking point, you know?
Yeah.
And whether you're feeling spiritual shit attached to those feelings or not, there is a point, and the point is you, and you starting to, like, be okay with who you are no matter what, and accepting that all that shit that we hate about ourselves is part of our fucking magic, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All my too muchness, that's what makes me great at this, you know?
I know there's like so many people hiding because other people told them they were too much.
Mhm. Mhm. You're too sensitive. Yeah, I used to think that way about, like, the 18-year-old because he is a Pisces and, he's been different his whole life. And I didn't understand him, and I would be like, "Yeah, but he," and I would be feeling sorry for him or whatever. And then when I made this shift, I started to see him differently, and I was like, "No, those are his strengths. Like, that's why he's resilient. That's why, like, he's a Leo rising." And so I'm always like, "No, Jake, you have a you have a purpose on your life." Like, I'm always trying to like, "No, you like have the heart of a lion. Like you got to get out there. You got to be the leader, whatever." And he is a leader in his own way, and I'm like, "Hey, whatever way that is, I believe that all of this is intentional for you. And I think that's the point is that, well, I mean, I believe we picked this experience. Maybe the people
Yeah.
listening aren't there because that's not their belief system, but surely you can understand we're all energy and we get to control how we direct that energy so much more than we ever thought. And I think that brings me back to my point about like invoking and decreeing, like instead of affirmations, like saying, no, right here, right fucking now. Th- Whether it's true
Yeah.
or not, I decide it is, and here we go, you know?
And that's all it takes is a decision.
Yes. Yeah. And I used to think, oh, that's delusional, you know? I don't give a fuck if it's delusional or not now. It feels good. It feels so much
Yeah.
better. It's 222.
I'm at the point in my life I think delusional is the way to
Oh,
go.
abso-fucking-lutely. Well, okay, like if we're only creating our own reality through our perception, what if you just change your perception? I just started being like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you know what? I'm gonna believe this." And then you're in the energy of that, then you're attracting that. Like, manifestation really is not as woo-woo as people think. You can take it to a really woo-woo place, and God knows I do, but,
Yeah.
like, it's just like, how would if I were already this person, how would I be? How would I show up? And then do that, and then what do you think? You're on that frequency, you're gonna get that, like, that's how it is. I don't
Yeah.
know. Me,
And
that's
it's
how.
actually manifestation is based in science.
Mhm.
So if even if you're not woo woo, just look into the science of energy.
Well, that's honestly how I started because
Really?
mostly not really for any, like, lack of belief, but more because I didn't wanna talk about it in a way that wasn't rooted in science because I was, like, nervous that I'd be,
Because it
like,
used to
written
be
off,
really,
you know what I mean? I
yeah.
cared a lot about that when I first started this show, like, "It's science, y'all." Now I don't give a shit, you know? Like, I'm like, "The right people are finding my show, and that is that. If you don't like it, I did not ask you to be here, so you know where the door is." I used to worry a lot, though. I'm like, "It's science." Man, I have loved this conversation.
Me too. Also, just thought of something. Would you say that the end because there's a lot of things that encompass whatever your definition of dark night of the soul and spiritual awakening is, there's a lot of things that it encompasses. But would you say if you because remember before I was like, I don't think I can like summarize it concisely, but if I could now, I would say that the end result was actually learning how to love myself because I connected to my higher self, because I developed that love and compassion for myself, and I was able to see other people with love and compassion. And I think that's what like changed who I was as a person.
I would agree 100% because I still remember, and I think I told you about this the last time we talked, but I still remember on this show talking to my friend about the boys that we are with and fucking hating on them about something. And then going, because I had really just kind of developed like love for me, right? And then going, well, I do that too, actually. I just realized how I do that too. I do that exact fucking thing, actually. And I love myself, you know? So, like, it was so naturally extended at that point, like, to be
Mm,
like, "Oh," because that was a really huge epiphany for me that, like, no, we're not different at all, any of us, particularly the people in your energy. You drew them in for a reason because you're the exact
yeah.
fucking same. You know, you're just mirror images of each other. So I think that was something that really took me to the next level of emotional maturity and spirituality was because that was the first time I really had that fucking kumbaya feeling. I was like, "Oh my god, we really are all just interconnected. Like we really are all one, aren't we? Like we are one. This is what they're fucking talking about. Okay, I get it. I get it." So that's kind of how all my spiritual shit's been. Is like just some like thought awakening and then it's just this huge epiphany where I'm no longer the same person I was 5 minutes ago. It's crazy, but it's all love. It's a bigger capacity for love because
Yes.
then I've offered them the compassion. I feel all good about it. I love myself even more because I'm able to offer the compassion. And so that's why really like I feel like it's You find the deepest love and gratitude and compassion for yourself. You extend it to others, and then you understand that we have to see more of the them in us and the us in them because we are the fucking same. So it's easy for me to look to really horrible people and find the common thread between them and me. And when you remove the fear and you remove the judgment of yourself and them, you can see the link and go, maybe I don't murder people, but I know I know what that motivation was, and I know that feeling. I know that thought
Yeah.
process intimately because it's not like I like who I was before. I appreciate every version of me that got me here, and I love them and I forgive them for not knowing better. But I also understand these people don't fucking know better. They don't know better yet, and who am I to say anything about that? Because I honestly, this is what I think Jesus was trying to say. I don't think he was saying one sin is the same. I think he was saying we're all the fucking same. We all have these issues. We all have these thought processes. And until you can get your shit together, and even then, I got my shit together and I'm still a bitch. You know, like I still make
Yeah.
mistakes. I still fucking talk over people and do all kinds of shit, that you shouldn't do. And I'm really full of love. Like, I always come home to that. Like, yeah, I'm gonna have that
Yeah.
really human response to something, and then I'm gonna tap in and I'm gonna go, and that's a human experience right there. They're being real fucking human right now. I just understand it. And I
Yeah.
think that's the point is that we are all one. I believe that wholeheartedly. And we are all a part of one energy. And the whole purpose here is to figure out how to share that with others, how to teach people to love themselves in this way, not some superficial, because I thought I loved myself before. I really did. Really thought I
Yeah.
appreciated myself. But I mean, like, truly, when you can have compassion for the darkest fucking parts of yourself, that you've done it.
And that's why, because I initially called myself a self-love coach,
Hmm.
but, like, to your point, I think that has, like, a certain connotation to it, and that's why I changed my title to inner glow
I
coach,
love that.
because it's basically like what you just described, because it's like you're lighting yourself up, and then that has like the ripple effect because
Yes.
it extends to your inner circle, it extends past them, and then you're contributing to raising the vibration of the entire universe.
And it
So it's more,
matters. It matters a
yes,
lot.
it's it's so much more than like taking a bubble bath and getting a massage, and like that can be part of self-love, but it's like this whole energetic effect and how you show up in life when you love yourself. Like, it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, because, I mean, loving yourself doesn't equate to beating the shit out of yourself every time you didn't meet some standard. It means
Right.
I understand that I am human and I'm this higher thing. And the higher part of me makes me understand it's okay to be human and to not meet whatever standard I've set or someone else has said or whatever, and
Yeah.
and I think that's the part that people really have a hard time understanding me with, like especially in my marriage where like this man drives me fucking insane. He really does if I let it. We're very on the outside, we move very differently is what I'll say. We move very differently in the world and we have a lot of different philosophies on things, particularly since I've healed. But I am trying so hard. Like, I also believe he's going to be my greatest fucking lesson because I'm living in real time with someone that I'm constantly having to work this muscle of. I don't want to give that my energy. I'm not going to hand my piece over to this situation. And when I say that, let me be clear. It's just about the old me just constantly tried to change him and control him. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to allow him to be who the fuck he is and have zero, and I mean zero expectations for him. And like we just had a conversation the other day where I was like, okay, I can see where I'm assigning meaning, morality, and emotion to this, and I don't need to. We need to just sit down and create a system for this. What's the system that can be created for this? Because I'm real good at being like, and then I was overwhelmed and that was your fault, you know? And that's my humanness,
Yeah.
right? That's my ego and it's crying and she
Yeah.
deserves to be seen and I give her some love and go, I know, baby, and that was so tough and you felt neglected. I know you did. And okay, so back to the real world, I'm still fucking living here. And like we're still married. So like how can I get the best out of this experience? Like I don't know if we're going to be married forever. I don't know, but I don't care either. Like I'm not going to put some arbitrary standard on how long we should be married or
Yes.
whatever. For now, it's working and I want to learn. I want to grow more. I want to reach my highest potential on this earth. And I feel like it helps everyone. I mean, I'm sure my kids are tired of the bickering because God knows I'm a bickerer. You know, I'm sure he's tired of it too. You know, I don't blame you, honey. I'm sorry. I'm a bickerer. But I am learning so much about myself every time I get frustrated with him. You know, we're just different. He's absent minded. I'm kind of controlling and, you know, our Virgo shit. You know what I mean? He's the opposite in that a little bit. But I mean, I had to realize like the only reason I care is because I'm worried I can't meet these needs myself and
Mm.
that I'm not enough. So like where's the expectation? Okay, let's get rid of that. Like I really just want to allow him to be who the fuck he is without being all judgmental about it. Because if I'm judging him, I'm judging myself. So I'm still trying to figure that out, you know, but
And also, like, that is the definition of unconditional love right there.
wow, you're right.
Just
I've never
accepting
thought of that.
someone for who they are. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying, Angie. I'm really
That's like
trying.
the biggest gift you can give to someone because none of us are perfect.
Right.
Like, you're never going to find the perfect husband. So if you can just accept him for who he
Yeah,
is,
because you
like
know what? He
that in
really
itself is
accepts me.
huge.
Like, really, really accepts me for who I am. Truly. Doesn't try to change me. Doesn't anything. Celebrates every fucking thing to celebrate. Like, everything. Like,
And you probably drive him
oh,
batshit
I
crazy too, though, right?
fucking drive him crazy. Are you kidding? Crazy.
So, and how did I know
But
that?
I mean,
Because
the good thing is he is not vocal about that the way I am. He's
yeah,
like,
but I just don't think there's a relationship in existence where people don't get on each other's nerves, and I'm not even just romantic relationships, friendships,
I know I'm
family,
having to
whatever. We all
learn
get on each
that.
other's nerves.
Did you
Yeah.
ever think the opposite though? Did you think like if it was a good match, whether intimate or just friendship, that like you're supposed to like just get along all the time? Like it's supposed to be like perfect.
Yeah, I did think
Okay.
that. Mostly because I don't know, we never handled conflict in my family. So I guess mostly because I didn't know how to handle conflict, I just hoped that it would never exist.
No, you're so right because you know what? My grandma didn't have friends. And when my mom had
Mm.
friends, it was all or nothing. They were best friends until they got too fucked up and fought each other in the parking lot, and then they were no longer friends. I'm serious.
Oh,
Like those were the only
interesting.
relationships I saw modeled. My aunts didn't have friends. Like none of them had friends. I'm gonna pat myself on the back because I have friends and my kids get to see me after. I've never done a good job at like combining friendships with my family. I always have kept them very separate,
I
except for
don't
one
think there's
friend.
anything
But
wrong with
like,
that, though.
but they see me like spend time with friends, and I come home and talk about, oh my god, we went to this and blah 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 blah. I never got that ever.
Yeah, I never my parents had friends, but not that many, and they didn't really spend time with them. That's like such a good point.
So this was like a universal thing, I think. I know, like,
I
I have friends who are a little younger than me. Their parents had lots of friends. My grandma, though, her little narcissistic ass, she just couldn't. She just couldn't. She couldn't face rejection, and they might reject her. You know,
mm,
bless her heart.
interesting.
Bless your heart, grandma. Okay, so what's an actionable takeaway that our listeners could take away from this conversation?
Ooh, that's a good point. So the topic was Dark Night of the Soul and Spiritual Awakening. I don't think you have to go through either one of those experiences. I think, for example, I think I was forced to do it because it was part of my path
Hmm.
and I had been resisting my path. So I think a good actionable takeaway is to get really clear on your purpose and follow that path because it's so much more enjoyable when you choose your own challenges than rather than the universe choosing them for you. Because I unfortunately ignored my path for a long time, and the universe was choosing my challenges, and I struggled and I struggled and I still hated myself. Whereas when I started choosing my own challenges, like when I started doing the inner work on myself and learned how to love myself and like what that whole process was, because it is a whole process.
Mhm.
And um I forgot my train of thought. Oh, it like even though that was still a difficult process to go through my healing journey, it was so much more enjoyable than the lessons that the universe was handing to me.
No, that's so true. And are you at a place of gratitude for your dark night?
Yes. And even just any little thing that comes up, like anyone who says something mean to me or whatever, like I have gratitude for all of that because there's like a lesson in everything. Everyone can teach us something. And even just the way I respond to things now. Like I had this conversation with this guy that I know from surfing, and like there were fires in Maui. It's like over a year ago
Yeah, I
now. It like
remember that.
destroyed all of Lahaina. Well, anyway, so the local government wants to give like several $1 million to these families who lost their homes because they haven't rebuilt yet. And he was totally against that. He was like, they shouldn't be getting money, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and I normally don't agree with like people being on welfare who shouldn't be on welfare, etc. But like if you lost your entire home and everything, like come on. Like I think these people should be getting something.
Yeah.
And he didn't agree with me. So now he like won't even look at me and won't even talk to me, which at first I was kind of offended, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I just don't even care. Whereas, like, many former versions of me would have been really offended by that. So, even that was a lesson because I was able to celebrate how far I have come.
Yeah.
Also, like, I'm not mad at him because, like, I can accept him for who he is and understand his viewpoint. So, again, like, that was like a win for me, like, oh, like, my compassion has, like, come this far as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, when you can say, "Oh, yeah, I remember whenever I felt that way too." Like I just think
So,
it we are the center of this universe. You're the center of your universe. I'm the center of my universe. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah.
starts at home with you. With you. You have to fix yourself. That wasn't the best terminology, but you have to love yourself. You have to get
Yeah.
there. You have to create safety in your body to have experiences. You have to do all those things for you. And then you can extend that to anyone around you.
So I actually call it, because I don't like the word fixing yourself either. I call it coming back home to yourself. Because again, like my coaching
Yeah.
program, it's like you're born with this light. It has been dimmed by various things. Like the only thing we're doing is rekindling that light. You're not fixing yourself. You're not trying to be someone else. You're just coming back home to you. Because like when you were a child, like life lit you up, and then you start to get scared because everyone says the world's ending and
Yeah.
all this other
Yeah.
stuff. So,
You start preparing yourself for the rapture, and that's it. That's
yeah.
it.
So the whole goal is to just light yourself up again, and then you move through life as a totally different person. So, yeah, to like be more clear, that's my whole takeaway. Like, you don't have to go through a dark night of the soul or a spiritual awakening to light yourself up and love yourself again. And again, have the ripple effect and have that extend out to everyone else.
And so much of the things that we talk about are just spiritual concepts too. So this can be your spiritual awakening. Like you can hear us have this
True.
conversation
It
and
doesn't
have the
have to be
aha
this
moment,
like,
like where you're like, yeah,
yeah.
you know what? I'm going to make that decision right now. So I hope that's the case. I hope that somebody listening has a little aha light bulb.
Yeah. I would actually prefer that someone doesn't have, because I think the epiphany, spiritual awakening, even though it sounds all rainbows and unicorns, it's actually not. So it'd actually be better if you just like proactively
Yeah,
went
even if
on
you
your
don't
healing
have all
journey.
the weird shit you
Yeah.
experienced, you have way too much at once, I thought I was in spiritual psychosis. Like I was scared. I
Yeah.
was scared for me. I was like,
Yeah.
is this too much
And that's why
THC?
and that's one of the reasons why I share my story, because the reason I went through what I did is because I hit my rock bottom. So I share my story as like a cautionary tale. Don't wait till you hit your rock bottom. If you know things aren't going well for you, get help
Start
now.
changing
And
your
yeah,
life. Yes, yes. Even if you don't know how, just start. Just one step at a
yes.
time. Like, cause
Or
how
like
many times
reach
did you
out to
try to
one of
change your
us.
entire life overnight? You know, that's the reason we hit rock
Yeah.
bottom too. So, no, I agree. That's a great message. Like, don't wait. Like, healing is available to you now. Coming home to yourself is available to you now, and it doesn't have to be some grand gesture. It just the decision to light yourself up, to do things that light you up, to stop partaking in conversations that dim you.
Yes. And it's so much easier to start from a place because again, it took me a while because I started from rock bottom. So if you're not starting from that place, then it's not as much of a struggle.
Absolutely. I was just thinking, damn, I could have saved myself a lot of trouble. That was the remorse piece for me, was like, it's okay, you didn't have the information then. Let's forgive
Yeah.
ourselves. It's
Well, that's
hard
part of the
though.
healing journey is having the self-compassion, and that comes with learning to love yourself and trust yourself.
Over and over and over and over again. Well,
Yeah.
Angie, thanks so much for coming back on.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Um, do you think it's a good episode to talk about what we're gonna do?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So Angie and I are gonna fucking have a podcast together ca-
Woohoo!
called There
Unquiet
we go.
souls.
I was like, it's not unloud. What is the word?
Oh, no. I
No,
see,
it
I
is.
forgot.
It's
I just made the logo.
unquiet soul. Yeah. And we are going to highlight
Yeah.
our fun parts of us too, and not like only super deep conversation. But I think our energy is super fun. So no matter what we're talking about, it's all gonna be to help you. But
Yeah, it'll be fun and deep.
yes, so
Yeah.
we have some things planned that I think are gonna be super fun. And I'll let you know when we plan to air that first episode, whenever we decide that.
But it is kicking off in the near future.
Very near, very near. If we set a date, I don't remember it. So, okay. Okay. I'm going to stop recording for a sec.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share. Emotionally Unavailable.